welcome in everybody to another edition of the Brett Allan Show. This is super exciting today because we are this is our 300th episode. And I can't believe we've made it this long, but we're just trucking along. Thanks to everybody who listens and supports the show. And today we have a very special guest. This conversation has been in the making for a while, but we are here and we are chatting with the amazingly talented country icon, Wynonna Judd. And we have a lot of things to talk about. Wynonna, welcome in. It's great to have you here today.
Wow. I feel so like everyone here at the farm today. Can everyone just walk around and say, hi, country icon? Because that is so awesome.
Well, it's true. I mean, I don't know. Is it a polarizing term? Let's be honest.
It is. You know what? I love you and I love my fans and I love what I do. And when I hear things like that, I have to chuckle because if you saw me right now and you came to the farm and you see all the animals around me and the poop and the life here on the farm, I have a different lifestyle. So when I hear that stuff, it makes me feel so amazing and I want to live in that, but it's not reality. But gosh, I love hearing it. Thank you.
Well, of course. I totally get it, and that's the reason I asked that is because, from the fans' perspective or anybody looking on the outside in or media even, it's true. But then I can assure you, you're a good company when others have said, I was interviewing Corbin Burnson lately and I said something similar and he's like, I'll embrace it for the moment, but good Lord, he's like, it's just such an odd term to hear because
it is.
You, right? Like, your lifestyle and the poop and the animals and everything like that. So that's funny, but we really do appreciate your time. And I want to jump in right off the top here, talking about Wynonna CBD because this last year has just been kind of crazy for everybody. And it's just been a whirlwind. Well, the last 2 years, I guess. But I would love to start out with the fact and just talk about what life has been like for you in the last couple of years and sort of being off the road and sort of you've had to sort of reinvent the way that you connect with your fans and music and all of that sort of thing.
Wow, this is like trying to take a drink from a fire hose. This is a lot, and I don't know where to begin. I'm going to think here for a second. Let me see where to begin. I will begin March 13th, 2020. I did a show in Minneapolis, and I got done with the show, and I got on the bus. Business as usual. And I got to the farm, and we got everything off the bus and put it in the closet, and it sat there for a year. And I went into a deep, deep sadness. Instead of 0 to 60, it was 75 to 0. My miles per hour went from 75 miles an hour since 1983 to a 0. And I'm at home doing chores, and I don't know, 5 months later, I'm still doing chores and there's no activity and there's no tour and there's no fans in the audience and there's no conversation. And I'm just walking through what most people did, which is shock. Shock and awe. I just couldn't believe it. It was the most unsettling thing to ever have to walk through, and that is the silence. And the silence was deafening. And I went into such a funk because I'm a people person. I was born to sing. I know that. There's no doubt in my mind. I've been doing it since I was 17 years old, and I'll be 58 in May. You do the math. And where are my people? Where are my people? And I'm desperately yearning for connection, and the audience is applauding and laughing. And it's just the greatest thing in life is the live connection with people when there's a wonderful bond there that fans have been coming to see me since they were, 20 years old in 1983, 84. Remember the 80s? Come on. They were so spectacular. We had cassettes and country music was just, thriving, and women were rocking. And I just couldn't believe it. I'll be honest. I was in an absolute shock for it took me 5 months to realize it ain't going to happen and we're not going anywhere. And I started to figure out what is my next move. And I started cooking. I'm doing a cookbook. That's the good news. The bad news is I'm home and I have nowhere to go. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I know I've talked to a lot of people, entertainers, film people, and they all kind of were in the same spot, and just kind of were like, "This is unbelievable." When you got past all of that, and sort of, I guess, if you ever adjusted, and I've talked, like I said, to others who said similar things this way, but did you ever have a moment where you're like, "Well, I guess if this is it and I have to be okay with it," or did
No,
you ever get to that place?
no,
Okay.
not at all. I think when you live like I do, I don't love the word hustler, but I will tell you straight up that the ego is a hustler. That's the part
Sure.
of us that says, I'm not good enough. I need to do more. And it's just part of the business. Absolutely not. There was a part of me that literally went into, if I have to get in the car and go to churches, I will. I think there's that piece of me just from the time I can remember of being, a teenager and doing a garden and my mom saying, don't come in until dark, until you get this row hoed. It's just really part of my personality. No,
Sure.
not at all. There was no, I mean, I was ready to invite people to the farm at some point because it's outside and what the heck. We'll do revivals. I was ready to open up the farmland to fans, and we still may do that. There may be a spend the day with Y at the farm and fish and do, country life. But I was ready. I was ready to open up. I was ready to do a food truck. I was ready to sell chicken, eggs to, I was ready to take food. I was doing that actually. I was cooking for people. I cooked for a 94-year-old woman and a beautiful Jewish man who I learned how to cook for. I just started to open up the portals. I just said, come on, let's start business. It doesn't matter. I'll take food down to the, local whatever. And I'm just that way. I think that comes from being on the road for so long and knowing what people need and want and what would connect us.
Wow. Well, if you ever do a farm day, be sure to let your team know and let me know, because I would totally be there. I'll bring my 7-year-old and put him to work.
Oh my gosh, chores, yes.
Yeah, well, he's into this, not to sidetrack our conversation,
No,
but he's
good.
really
Go.
really into chores these days, and not
Mm.
necessarily for the earning part, but he just likes to do things,
There's a little
whether
girl here today, and she's got on a pink cowgirl hat and a pink pair of boots, and she's walking around feeding the animals. And she's here, and I'm telling you, the good news is, let me say this: out of everything that happened in the pandemic, what I learned is that all things are possible. And when I say that, it's not a cliche anymore. It's not
Mhm.
a Hallmark card. I'm telling you, it is a new day. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. All that. I'm ready to do something so remarkably different. I've been touring for so long and we know how to do that well. Pick one thing and do it well. And I know how to do that. I want to do other things. For instance, what you just said, I want to bring 10 teenagers out to the farm because they don't know. They think that milk comes from a carton.
Okay.
I want them to know what dirt feels like, and I want them to walk on it and feel it, and I want them to sit around a fire and make a s'more. The beauty of that is profound. So I'm ready to do life differently, and that's where the CBD came into play, because I'll be honest, I went into such a sadness that I thought, okay, I don't want to be on medication. I don't want to go to a doctor and get a pill. I need something to help me walk through this dark, stormy time. And I figured it out.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I think all of us were just kind of in an interesting place. I obviously, you know, our lifestyles are clearly different as far as like the traveling and the touring, but that's really when our show started to pick up and we were able to focus on this full time, because I lost
Mm-hmm.
my job, and because they just laid everybody off. But I think if you came out of this situation with either a new skill set, or for you it's the CBD and just kind of wanting to do things differently and reinventing yourself, I think that's great. Now you partnered with the Nashville-based company Celebrity. It's interesting, as a side note, John Schneider, he was on like right around this time last year. He has his CBD, which he kind of came up with during the pandemic. Well, let's talk about yours. And you sort of let us in a little bit on how it came to be. But when you decided that this was something that you were going to dive into feet first, what was the process like for you, Wynonna, to go, okay, I want to do this and sort of, create this product for people to be able to use?
My process is really simple. I swear to you, and I had a conversation with a fan recently, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I've had surgeries," and she went into her story, and I listened to the details of what she said. I haven't walked through life, of course, in the same way she has, but I tell you what, at the end of the day, I would fall into the bed and I would weep and I would say, God, I don't understand. I don't know what's going on, but I know who. And I went back to my grandmother's teaching. She would always say things like that. And you grow up hearing that and you just sort of adopt it. And it becomes part of your, testimony. And I kept walking around, Brett, and I kept saying, you know what? I'm desperately sad, but this is not, feelings are not reality. And I would walk through my mantras every day and I would do my stretching and I would breathe. And I know about all of that. I've learned a lot over the years from people. But I had this one area where I couldn't quite get above a certain point. And I just felt like I didn't know if it was age. It was probably everything, right? Everything combined, age, the trauma of just being shut down. And this is simple, and most people would say, yeah, but you're Wynonna Judd and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, do you know what it's like like you got fired? You said, I hate hearing that. I'm so sorry. That is just like
it was
the ultimate. It's so unfortunate because it's like, I want a divorce. Those terms are just, they're so life-changing. And look, I went through, unloading the bus, and that's a metaphor, kind of like you unload everything and you put it in your area and you think it's going to get redistributed, and no, it sat there and collected dust. And I would walk in the closet, and after 5 months I went, you know what, this stuff ain't going back on the bus. And I went into a funk that was like debilitating. At one point I felt like I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, because I'm so geared towards getting the job done and going and doing and conquering. And I was at home and I didn't go anywhere for a year. I went somewhere for like 6 times and that was it. So it was such a shift that it blew my circuits. And I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I need help. Step 1 in the recovery process of the 12 steps is reaching out for help and saying, I can't do this by myself. And my life is, I need somebody. And that's really painful to me because I'm such a doer. If it's broke, I'll fix it. I know how to work on an engine. I've driven a tour bus before. I know how to work a room of people I have nothing in common with. I know how to communicate, but I can't. There's nothing going on right now, and I'm not sure what to do. So you know what I started with? Myself, which is it's painful. I had to take a look at my life and myself and go, okay, what do I need to do to walk through this time? Because it could be a month, it could be a year. And it just turned into a year and a half where, okay, like the airports, we were shut down. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, dude. It is not happening. There is no show. That is bizarre. That is like, there's no sound. I can't breathe. There's no oxygen in the room. This is bizarre. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I started with myself. And I started working with a friend of mine who had the connections. And I said, look, I got to do something because my son is a canine officer for drug interdiction. And I make jokes about, well, I can't exactly grow anything here because, I live with a cop. And we make jokes and stuff and ha, ha, ha. And I can't do it anyway. It doesn't work for me. And I knew that. But what do I do? Where do I go? How do I find something that does work? And I went into a scientist perspective of, okay, I know what I need to do. And I'd heard about CBD from John Schneider and other people. And it's one of those things where somebody says, hey, go over to Farmer John's. He's got some eggs. You just go to the next step. And I did. And I walked it out. And step 12 was, and it is done. And we made CBD, and it changed my life. And I thought, you know what, this is something I can give to my fans, because I'll be honest with you, within the world of selling stuff, everybody is. It feels like today everybody's selling something. It had to be integrity, because my fans trust me, and I've been in their lives since I'm 17 years old. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I knew I had to do it legit, and I knew I had to do it in a way, because my fans, I literally know their names, and I can look out in the front row and say, "Hey, Marby, how's your mom?" I know these people, and they're part of my family of choice. And this is not just a game, this is life. So the CBD thing became personal. And that's what I love about it, because I can be professional, because I do it myself. It's not something I would give to somebody without knowing what I know about myself, which is I need help. And so it just was a really, really interesting time of starting over.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think it's great too that and you didn't just, like some could have, just come up with an idea and just kind of put your name on it and then let everybody else kind of do the rest, but being involved in the individual steps and then being able to sell it, so to speak, or market it, whether it's on social media or interviews, and be using the product, you know what I'm saying, instead of just kind of like being disassociated with it.
Well, my fans will rush me, and I promise you, the first thing they'll say to me is, "What the hell?" And I have fans who literally do that, and I don't love it sometimes, of course, but it's like family. They're going to tell you the truth. And my fans are pretty vocal about what they like and don't like. And you know what? People are smart. We don't live in an age where you can sell anything and people are gullible and it's a 1-800 on television late at night
Right.
thing. This is a remarkable time of self-discovery for so many. And I knew that. And I knew that I had to when they sent me, I would get 3 samples a day. Example, I would get 3 samples a day of something and tell me how this works. And I would literally, like perfume, I would have 3 things, and I would pick one and send it back. And we just kept doing this back and forth, down to the scent. Everything was detailed by me. I literally can say, God is my witness, that this is a product that I literally put on my body and that I walked through personally doing it. It wasn't just something that we made up in a lab somewhere and we put it in a package and sent it off.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We went onto the website the other day and ordered some products, so I'm excited for it to get here. I'm a huge advocate, especially with somebody who deals with oftentimes debilitating anxiety.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Brett Allan. I know it. I walk it, and I'm here.
Yeah, it's crazy, especially, co-parenting a child and having to deal with a fairly amicable other person, but oftentimes
Sorry.
when my phone rings and twitches, sometimes I get a little bit anxious because I don't know what it's going to be. I joke a little bit about it. That's kind of been my
Well,
shtick
you
for a
have to.
while.
You have to laugh,
But I
You
mean,
have to
their
laugh.
ringtone is, the bewitched twinkle. So I know when the message is coming in.
Right.
One last question here. I know we have a tight time limit here, but I want to talk
No,
about
we're good.
music.
We're good. I want to
Okay.
make sure we get it done.
Okay. Well, I know from what I understand, you've also been working on some new music lately. Is that correct? Are you getting ready to put some stuff out here soon?
Yes.
I'm assuming you probably have a studio where you're at, so it's easy to.
We have, Brett, just so you know, we have everything we need. The only thing I don't have is, a movie theater out. Sometimes we go outside. We just rode horses today, and we're doers and fixers, and we create. There's nothing I can't do here. We had to start doing shows because I said, okay, I'm done with this sitting around. We did shows here, and we put it out, and it started a whole new, business. Like you said, we had to start over with something. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I can't sit here forever, and I can't just be not useful. And you're right. The music is coming. And what the greatest part of the pandemic for me was, looking back, of course, you can look back and say, I walked through a very dark time. And what happened is I wrote a song, for instance, I'll give you an example. I wrote a song called Broken and Blessed. And I weep from my toenails, even thinking about it, because it breaks open my spirit in a way that it's so vulnerable and it's so intimate, because walking through this pandemic, it was like, I'm desperately sad. And yet I have hope because I know something is coming. I live on a farm. There are 4 seasons here. We know that spring, winter, summer, and fall is happening, regardless of what you're going through, right? We know that something is coming. And it's a knowing. I know that sounds corny, but there's a knowing in my life of having a sense of there will be a day when the sun shines again. And broken and blessed is a paradox. You know, I walk a very contradictory lifestyle. Like you said, Wynonna icon. And that sounds really great. It's like, you know, a husband telling a wife, you're sexy. You know, and she's over there mopping and she just cleaned up the baby's spit up and she's feeling like, oh my God, Calgon, take me away. And he says, honey, you're sexy. And she goes, huh? It's just a thing where you think, wow, that's cool. But I just think music comes from the desperation of sadness, divorce, death, people losing their jobs. Country music fans, you can make fun of country music all you want. We are the poetry of the common man experience. You know, we're the ones on the front lines who say, whatever, you know, is going on in America, we're the ones singing about it, right? And no, I'm not saying other people aren't. I'm in genres that I just know country music is the pulse of America. And we sing about the common everyday crap that just feels overwhelming at times. Whether it's CBD or country music, I'm singing blues, I'm singing rock, I'm singing whatever I want. I'll be 58 in May and I've just opened up a whole can of whoop ass. And it feels so good to be this age and go, I'm not going to worry anymore. I'm just going to go out there and sing from my toenails. So get ready because it's coming.
Yeah, I think everybody's excited, and that's great that you have new music coming. It's funny about the sexy comment. I totally a little bit of memory there of things. It's just kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, what's your
somebody called
game?
You sexy, Brett?
Well, no, my ex or anybody, like anybody I've dated in the last few years, you know, it's kind of like, what's your end game here? You know, like, what are you up to? But it's funny. Well, people are excited. I imagine here too. I mean, there has to be some benefit to the mask thing in the fact when you go out in public, you can put on a mask and glasses.
Nope, I tried it. Nope, not
people still recognize you. The probably
the hair. I guess I'm gonna have to change my hair because the hair is a signal. Yeah. And also I don't know why. I know you'll be shocked to hear this. My mask is all sequins, so I know that's a shock. And so I guess I need to get one that doesn't shimmer and shine because it draws attention. And I'm so bubbly because I'll be honest, when I do go out in public, I'm very oh my gosh, you are a badass. Like this woman at the restaurant last night, she was zipping around and she was just Miss America. And I said to her, I said, you go, girl. You know, and she looked at me like, woo, and it became this sisterhood, right? And I'm just really that way. You know what it is because I know that people are struggling to survive, and whether it's personal, whether they don't feel pretty or they're overwhelmed with their bills or they're going through a divorce or somebody said something to them that was horrible. I'm aware of it, Brett. I'm an empath. I feel things. Always have. I was the little girl that people said, go outside. You're too much. And I spent my life independently outside, away from everybody. And I always felt alone and misfit. And I don't really fit in, but what do I do? And I have a guitar. And so watch me work. And I figured it out. I figured out a way to have purpose and show up and show out. And my job is to help someone feel better than they do. When the show starts, I know that people in the audience have come from, what if they had a big fight with their husband and he is a jerk and he's being one, and this girl is coming to the show and feeling heartbroken. I know that. I'm aware of the audience very, very, very intimately. And so my job is to help somebody feel a little bit of light. And my grandmother, it's, you know, her fault. She said, sometimes, honey, you're the only Bible that someone reads. And that's heavy, but it's sweet and it's doable because all I need to do is show up and wait for God to walk through the room. And when that happens, it's the greatest day for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I agree with you in the fact that I think when entertainment kind of came back, you know, regardless of, you know, all the things you might have to do now to go see a live show, but just the fact that people were able to do that and go somewhere and just unplug for a couple hours and just not think
music
about
is
life.
a healer. Music is a healer. And I could feel it. My very first show, everyone was wearing masks and I walked out and I said something, and everyone laughed because I was bringing, there's an elephant in the room, and I just said, "What the hell is going on?" And that's just the way I am. I'm very, very, I'm very vocal. I know you're shocked to hear that. But I said something to the audience that everyone was thinking is, this is so weird, but we're here. And I brought it up and I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take it one note at a time, just like one step at a time. And by the end of the show, I felt like, you know what? There's light in the room. And that's what I want for people and myself, whether it's the CBD or someone listening to my song. I had the greatest compliment, someone telling me that they literally were listening to no one else on earth back in the 90s. They wrote me a letter and said, I got a speeding ticket while listening to your song. And I thought that's one of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten. And that's what our music does to people. It helps them get through a divorce. It helps them go, you know what? Screw it. I am not putting up with that crap anymore. If Wynonna can do it, I can do it. Whatever it takes, guys. It's part of the journey. I'm not in this just for show business. That's been gone long ago. That's back in the 90s when we had CDs, right? That was when I transferred from country music, entertainer to artist. I'm an artist. I'm a mother. I'm a fighter, and I'm a lover of America, and we live in the greatest country. We don't agree, and that's okay. We agree to disagree. But I'll tell you one dang thing. I can sing my butt off because God gave me the equipment to do so. And when people come to my shows, I feel like we have a communication and a fellowship that is so deep that people come back again and again, and it works. It's the greatest love affair of my entire life besides my husband and children. Country music has given me an avenue to communicate to people that there is hope. And that's the greatest deposit I can give. I go to these towns and I wake up in a different state every day. And I go out on that stage and I say, you know what? Don't you dare give up. Don't you dare. And I think maybe it may change the atmosphere for a moment. I hope so. And I pray for that. So yeah, whether it's CBD or I'm talking to a fan about their mother dying and how they played my song at the funeral, I'm in it to win it, and I'm here, and you can count on me. I'll show up and kick ass anytime.
I love it. Well, we will be sure to put a link to WynonnaCBD.com in the show notes to the interview and also to your website. We're excited for the new music as well. Wynonna Judd, thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
You are a blessing. Rock on.